Welcome to the Get Made podcast. You know, I sighed at the beginning of this podcast because this is going to be a pretty heavy one. You know, um, you guys know I always come up here and I try to be genuine about the things I say. When I say genuine, I just want to really be in a position of helping. And some of the things that I talk about really it be because of some of the things I may have even experienced myself as a man moving in directions and trying to be a little better as I get older. And so I say this to my brothers. Why are we continuously being led instead of leading? Why are we continuously being led instead of leading? And then someone's gonna say, man, what the heck he talking about right now? Yeah, okay, he finna be on some motion. He gonna be on something today. How's it gonna be on something today? Well, I might be, depending on who you are. I might be. But if you give me an opportunity, just listen to me. Right? Just hear me out all the way through. Hear this thing all the way through. And you can see what it is that I'm talking about. So when I say while we've been a lot of times when we get into various situations, we got a couple of different things going on out here. One, we're getting caught in the gender war conversations too much. Directly, indirectly, or vicariously. We're getting caught up in these gender war conversations. And a lot of these conversations are taking place with, some women, and you got some men who are trying to capitulate or who are trying to, you know, get in the side of other women. Then they say various different things to other men, right? We should never do that. We should always be in a position of talking to our brothers and taking them by the hand and not to demean them or anything in nature there, right? But a lot of times you see brothers taking up this conversation. They're taking up women conversations, really, right? They're taking up those conversations that women really be talking about, right? And a lot of times it be women who are not really married or who don't have a man, and that's when them gender war things start really coming about, right? Because real talk, people who are happy are not having those conversations. People who are happy with themselves are not having them conversations, right? Because they got other things to do than have that conversation, right? And so when you have people who are not happy, then that's what you do. Then here's what happened. Some of us get mindless and then get caught up. Our feelings get caught up. We done heard somebody say something. We scrolling. We done heard somebody say something. Then next thing you know, we joining in the conversation. Right? That's what I mean by being led. We joining in this conversation. And when you give attention to the noise grow. When you give that attention to the noise grow. Not everybody on social media, this is what this is. This is about noise. Who can make the loudest noise and get the attention? Right? That's kind of a primary premise that takes place here, right? The social media. So we're not even going to play games about that. Sometimes it is about how I can make the loudest noise to get the most attention, get the most followers, get the most views, get the most likes. And sometimes it don't even be about monetizing it. For some people, it ain't even really about monetizing. It's about how I can just have somebody who agree with me and we got a whole thing of agreement. Right? Nobody really trying to monetize much. Right? But the noise continues to make it worse or bad for a multitude of people who are actually really trying to do the right thing. The noise keeps being given to the outliers, those people who are on the outskirts of the real stuff that's going on. The real stuff that's going on in the middle are people, they're not perfect, but they're trying to do their very best to make things happen. They're not perfect. Ain't nobody screaming perfection here. but they're trying their best to do what it is they can to be just a good person, right? They got faults here. They can show up some faults here. We all got some of those things, right? We all got some faults, right? But if you're not sitting here trying to be in a position of, if all we're talking about is those situations that are the outliers, you know, then we just really want to deal with the noise. When we come here on the Get Made podcast, we're not really talking about those outlier situations. We are talking about we're talking about the people who are trying to do good and how we can be better, right? Manhood, accountability, development, and enrichment, right? That's the Get Made. These are made men, right? These are people who are trying to do the right thing. Okay, and I need some more tools to help me be better. That's what happens here. I'm not sitting there, all women are this and all women, you just looking for ATM, or you just looking for this, you just looking for that. I mean, and some of that does take place. I'm not saying that doesn't take place. But we're not giving that type of attention to that. We're not trying to give mental recognition to a lot of this negativity. That's really the simple fact of it. We're not really trying to give all this mental recognition to negativity, because what it does is get us off. It allows us to be led and not lead. They just might as well have put a bit in my mouth and put a ring through my nose and just start running me all around the place. Just pulling me all through, just pulling me through. Because that's what's happening. They got me by the head and just got me going anywhere they want me to go. Because that's what's taking place. We're sitting here allowing these type of things to take place, these type of things to go on. And if, as men, and this is when I started talking about that feminine energy, that's when I started talking about this emotional deregulation and this lack of impulse management. Because when we get pulled in those type of things here, and we start acting on these type of things, and we start reacting to these things, we start getting in, we start getting involved in these type of things, and we giving our time to this. I mean, we got communities to build, we got lives to save out here, even if it's just our own lives. And if we are lives, and if we're not in a position of saying, hey, this is what it is. I'm not sitting there trying to kick you to the curb or kicking you down. I'm not sitting there trying to take up the banner of somebody else to make me appeasing to them, or whatever, to appease them, to make me pleasing to them, or whatever. I just want to speak something so we can do something a tad different and do it better. We can build the community that we need. That's leading. That's leading. So I want us to be cautious. And for some of our women, for some of the women who get caught in this, maybe, I know you're gonna look like something wrong with you to the rest of these women who really aren't happy in some instances, right? When you start saying, well, maybe let's look at ourselves and let's see what we can do differently. Instead of pointing a finger, let's look at those three fingers pointing back us. Okay, you siding with them. You looking for a man. That's what you're gonna get told. Right? You trying to find a man. You trying to, whatever. You trying to make yourself interesting for a man. You trying to catch or whatever. Right? Well, I'm just saying. If you can't stand that type of heat, then probably just don't be in the kitchen with any of it. Just get over here on your little side over here and just don't participate. The more we give less mental recognition to that sort of noise, the noise is not building. The more we don't give, the more they don't have a platform. Or they will be in a position of changing the way they're doing things and try to, build a platform that's not going to be built upon negativity. Or something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things that's wrong with us, period. There's a lot of things that we're in a different time now. when some of us was growing up, it might have been the father can go out there and do certain things and have certain things. You know, a lot of us didn't really recognize that we were poor or we didn't have, because we just had what we had, you know, until we started looking at other people over there and, you know, wanting to have what they had over there. And then next thing you know, they start making trinkets accessible. They had no problem with throwing you in debt and allowing you to get whatever. And then they just have you up to here in debt. We didn't have that coming up when we was coming up, you know, and it was a possibility for having a single earning household. Those things were, and even then it was a struggle, but the struggle wasn't as great as it may be now, because what happened, people see what people look like on the other side. They want this of luxury. They want this as luxurious. So they want this and they want that. They want this and they want that. Right. And in some cases, some men can't keep up that pace. Right. Really, in real talk, a lot of you women can't keep up that pace. Tell you the truth, you might have good jobs, but then, you know, you probably overextended in your resources. You know, so you throwing a card here, throwing in, you still trying to buy this, but you throwing this on the card here, and you doing this on the card here. But you know, then you trying to pay your minimums on them credit cards, you know, and then you doing a lot. I mean, that's not everybody, but it's a lot of you doing that. And the same ones who are doing some of that are the one who's doing all this talking. Right. And brothers, you know, hey, you can't be stingy. Right? You have to do, but you have to also have a presence of mind of not being able to get pulled in all this spontaneous thinking, all this impulse thinking. You have to be able to stand your ground and not be led by the impulse. This is emotional deregulation. And this is what I've talked about this since I started this podcast. That's what happens with a lot of us. You know, we get caught up, then next thing you know, we dealing with talk about a woman got all this masculine energy, and here you come with this, you know, this sensitive feminine energy. You know, roles get reversed. Why? Because you're being led. That's why. You're being led. You're being led by your woman, or you being led by this popular culture. You know, you keeping up, as you used to say back in the day, you keeping up with these Joneses. That's a problem. You got more luxurious thinking than they do, than women do. Some brothers do. They think of this thing from a luxurious point than some of these women do, because they see people with these cars, you know, these Bentleys, or they see people this and they want to try to do this. But I live in a city that those things are a dime a dozen. It seems like everybody and their mama running around here with a Benz or a Bentley or whatever. You know what? One time, real talk, there's a woman I think she was in a Maserati, side swiped my wife one time, right? They pulled over to the side. It wasn't really, there was some damage to her car, but it really wasn't no damage to my wife's car, right? She didn't even have insurance on this joint. She riding around here illegal, right? But she riding around here illegal. She can't even keep the insurance up on it. That's the people sell your car. They sell your car. Look, you can file bankruptcy. The first thing they're going to do is send you some letters, try to get your credit together, and try to sell your car. That's the first thing they're going to do. They got no problem giving you a car. They're going to put you in debt with a brand new car. You can't afford this car, they're going to give it to you and say, oh, man, the only thing you got to do is $700, $800 a month, and this and this and that. Okay, but they ain't told you about the $700 a month insurance on that car, though. You paying just as much for a car as you pay for your lease. It's crazy. But you know, some of you men, some of you get caught with that same thinking. You riding, you trying to ride good, you can't even ride. Can't even put gas in the joint. You really can't. You got to need premium gas. You're trying to see if you can put STP up in your joint, man, for to tear your car up anyway. A gas treatment in it. Because you can't afford the 93 octane. Right? Because you don't need that car in the first place. Let alone where you're trying to live. Let alone where you're trying to live. So I'm just saying, we have to do better with what we at, be more of an asset to our community, being more of an asset to our community. Okay, maybe the school district ain't good. Then what can you do to help the school district get better? You're looking for, hey, real talk to people in the neighborhoods that y'all trying to move to. They do something about their community. They get involved. You trying to get in on their coattails. Do something with your own. Do something with your own. That's why I keep talking about you being led, but you're not leading. You want to live in these nice neighborhoods, but you don't want to do nothing in them neighborhoods. You just want to, you leeching. That's what's up. That's really what's happening. I'm talking to men and women. You're leeching. You're trying to live off of them. You're not trying to add anything to it. But then y'all get caught in these gender wars. I get to talk about that stuff that really doesn't matter. But you ain't saying out, you ain't showing how you be. You ain't going to these school board meetings. You're not, raising the voice. You're not bringing people in. You're not corralling people in to get to these school board meetings to make some changes in your district or whatever, so you can have better schools. You're not trying to put so community cleanups and so your community can be a little bit cleaner. You worrying about, they're going to be shooting. Okay, you demand more police protection in your neighborhood, you might be okay. But that's what them other people do in them other neighborhoods that y'all trying to run to. Y'all get caught in these gender wars. I'll let you know, man, you worrying about the wrong thing. And this is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand here. This is brothers, this is what I'm saying. We're being led, but we're not leading. Because we're getting caught in the wrong thing. We're talking about the wrong things. We're not talking about how we can make our communities better. How to keep these vultures from even coming in our community, buying our community up cheap, and then pushing us out of our communities. But y'all on the social media talking about these gender wars. They get pulled into these gender wars. It's a time for real men to kind of stand up, stop being led. Stop trying to, I like looking good as the next man. Right? I like looking good as the next man. I'm not going to go in debt about it, though. I'm not going to lose my mind behind it. I got debt just like anybody else got debt. Who don't have debt in America? I'm not going to lose my mind behind that. And we have to start doing it because they're tricking us. You got these people tricking us. You got the system tricking us. Then they got the system having our women trick us. And we ain't standing up. Ain't standing up. So this is a heavy one for me. This is a heavy podcast for me. But I needed to come out and say what it is, what's happening, and how can we make some changes. I said certain things that we can do. We can get more involved. We can take out, it's a lot of work. You're working hard. Some of you brothers out here, no, the majority of you brothers out here working hard. Y'all go to work every day, 12 hours a day, try to do overtime. Some of you probably even got 2 jobs. I feel you. And sometimes you can't. So maybe you need to have to be, and some of you women are working just as hard. So I get it. I get it. And that's what we're working hard to do, is to keep up. Right? And we're putting the hard work in the wrong places. We're putting the hard work in the wrong places. And so maybe if we can start really just corralling our resources the right way, then we can kind of reap some of the benefits that we're looking at. And we ain't got to run to other people's neighborhoods to feel like we got a better living. Feel like we got shops to go shopping and spending more money. We can live in these spots if you renting, leasing. you're paying a exuberant amount of money because they try to keep you out anyway. I'm just saying, man, really, it look clean though. Yeah, they're charging you to be there too, right? But we can have this in our own community. But we don't want to do them fight. We don't want to fight. That's the difference between our parents, our grandparents, and us, and maybe even our great grandparents. That's the difference between them, that generation, and us. That's the difference between those who was in the struggle and those who are reaping benefit and thinking that we out of the struggle. We haven't arrived. Get that twisted. Because they allow you to buy a car, don't mean you have arrived. The game is still keep you down. And how they gonna keep you down now? Keep you spending money where you don't need it at. So let's do better. Let's work with each other. Let's get out of these conversations. Let's get out of these crazy conversations, and let's have some conversations that build versus continue to tear down. Doing the devil's work, doing Shaitan's work. Stop that. You ain't got time for that, man. But you don't see them doing it. That's the crazy thing about it. Do all that, you don't see them doing it. And the ones who are doing it, when they start talking, more than women's rights and all this old type of stuff here, they going at the system. They ain't going at people. They going at the system. We go at the people. They're going at the system. That's what we need to start looking at. Go at the system. I'll wait. Tune in next week. I see you guys next week. Get Made podcast, 7 p.m. on Mondays, streaming on YouTube as well. Please subscribe, tell a friend. Let's do better, y'all. We got to. We got people. It only gets worse. If we don't change it, it only gets worse with the next generation coming. My grandkids is going to be even worse for them. It's going to be worse for them. If we don't do something different, collectively, if we don't do nothing different, it's going to be worse for them, collectively. And they're going to think they have it all. They got nothing. All right? I'll take care. Love everybody.